This is day one of the Australian Brumby Challenge with my mare, who I've named VBA Mira Image. Mira spelled M-I-R-A, meaning peaceful, and she's certainly already shown herself to be quite a peaceful mare. And she's just a really calm, lovely, soft mare, and she settled in really quickly last night after we unloaded her, which was great. Really relaxed and really happy in her new surrounds. She is about 14 two hands and anywhere from 4 years old up. We'll have to get her aged more accurately in the future, but for now we can sort of say, 4-year-old. And she was passively trapped in Kosciusko National Park in New South Wales just over 12 months ago. She then was at the Victorian Brumby Association where she had her foal and has since weaned her foal, ready for the Australian Brumby Challenge. So I'm really excited to share this journey with Mira over the next 100 days and really just promoting Brumbies to the wider public and just really showing what amazing horses they can be as riding horses and domestic horses, and just raising that awareness of the quality of Australia's wild Brumbies, which if you've seen any of my other footage of my other horses or photos or updates or anything, you'll see how awesome some of the other Brumbies that I've worked with are, and it's just really exciting to be able to take this to a bigger level, getting more trainers involved from different areas in the country and from different backgrounds as well, people who haven't necessarily trained Brumbies before are taking part in this challenge, which opens up the doors even further for Brumbies to spread out throughout the wider equestrian community, which is a really exciting thing. So today I've already spent just a few minutes coming in and getting a Mira to eat from my hand. So she's had a bit of hay and a bit of grass from my hand, which was a really great start. So I sort of spent a few minutes and then walk away, do something else, come back a few minutes, just start to build that relationship and just to build her trust in me so that she knows that I'm not going to hurt her. I can come into here, into the yard, and be in here with her, and she'll be okay, no one's going to hurt her, and really at this stage I'm pretty much just going to feed her and it's going to be a good experience. It's just building up that relationship. As with my other training, I intend to use clicker training, which is positive reinforcement training. Positive meaning simply adding a reinforcer, so adding something to reinforce a behaviour. So in this case, adding food to reinforce a desired behaviour and using the clicker to mark that behaviour. So the clicker is purely a marking tool or a bridging tool, because we can't always feed the horse as they're performing the behaviour that we want to reward. So particularly down the track when we start doing some ridden work and things like that, we can't always give the horse a food reward whilst it's performing the behaviour that we're trying to reinforce. So we click, that marks the behaviour. The horse has learnt over time to associate the click with the food reward, and so they quickly learn that when they hear a click, they're being rewarded for that particular behaviour and that the food reward will follow. The ultimate aim is then to phase out the food altogether. Once the cue has been put in place and the behaviour is really solid in the horse. As a response to that cue, we phase out the food. So we're not forever feeding our horse for doing simple tasks, but we're using it in the learning process, and it's a really beneficial tool, particularly for these Brumbies who just need to gain trust in people and confidence to begin with, and food just is a really effective and easy way to do that in the initial training and learning phases. So as you can see, she's pretty quiet and calm standing here behind me. She's interested, she's looking at me. So we'll just see how we go today. As I always say, I don't get hung up on specific goals. I don't come out here today saying, right, I'm going to get a halter on this horse, or I'm going to get her leading and picking up her feet and doing all sorts of wonderful things. If we get that, great. If we get purely just confidently eating out of my hand, maybe a little bit of touch, I'd be super thrilled with that too. I've got no expectations of her. We've got 100 days to go on this journey and see how far we can go together. So there's no there's no rush for me. I'm not going to be disappointed if I don't get a halter on her even in the first week. We'll just go at the pace that she wants to go at and that she's comfortable with, and that'll just give us a really good relationship and a good foundation to build on. And then once she is confident, we'll progress much quicker then. But in this initial first few days, weeks, whatever, just happy to go at whatever pace she's comfortable with, and we'll see where we go. So today we'll just simply be trying to gain her confidence, and if we do get some touch and some, progressing towards getting the halter on, then that'll be wonderful. But as I said, no expectations, no disappointment if we don't achieve that. Hi, pretty girl. Ready? Just got some loose end hay here. I was just using plain grass hay and picked grass before. This loose end hay has been sitting in my shed for a while. It's nice and dry, but it's quite old, so it's not really rich. It's not going to upset her tummy, but it's just a bit tastier than plain grass hay. So a bit more incentive to take it from my hand. Some of the grasses that we picked before, she had a nibble at and went, no, I don't really like that grass. I'm not going to play this game with you. So I said, okay, well, I'll find something that you do like. And loose end seems quite popular already. Bring this a bit close up. So as I start introducing the clicker as well, at first she might be a bit scared of the noise, of the click sound, but very quickly after just a few repetitions she's going to start to associate the click with the food reward. So you might see some interesting responses. She might sort of flinch a little bit at first when she hears the click, because she thinks, oh, what was that sudden strange noise? But it's going to be followed straight away by a food reward. So very quickly she's going to associate click equals treat. And I'm going to click when she's looking at me and when she's looking relaxed. So clicking for relaxation. So there, good, and then offer the food reward. Good. Normally I just use chaff or pellets or something like that, but obviously she's probably not going to be that confident to take that out of my hand just yet. So we do have to wait a little bit longer in between clicks while she chews the loose end. So the more confident she gets, I'll try and have less in my hand at a time just to make a higher rate of repetition. Good. I didn't click that time, but she reached out to me for it, so there's no hard and fast rules about horse training regardless of the method that you use. So there, she got a bit of a flinch at the noise, but she likes loose end, so she's going to come back for it. She's just going to pick up those scraps, so that's alright. And if she looks at me again, then I'll, yeah. See if I can get her just to step back into that corner so she's more in shot. She's wanting to come to the pile of hay on the ground at my feet. She's alright. We'll just see if we can get a bit of a draw. Yeah, that's nice. Stepping across. Yeah, see, so you might have, I'm not sure if she's in shot at the moment, but she's just doing a little bit of a flinch at the click noise. So I suppose we're sort of desensitising her to a sudden noise as well. I suppose that's just an added benefit of this training, that not really the intention. So I'm just going to use my body language and my position just to, there we go, just get her to step back. Just so she's in shot. And also starts teaching her to just move off very light energy. Good. So I want to see if I can create a draw, get her to come and turn her head and face up to me. Good, like that. We'll just offer her the hay again. Good. Just see if I can get her just to move around. She says maybe I can just go straight to the pile and eat from the pile. Okay, I'll just keep going. There. I don't know, she might move again, but I might just try and adjust the camera angle. Just flicked her tail onto the gate then, where the sign is. Gave herself a little fright. But as you can see, she jumped forward a few steps and then she stopped. That's the typical response that these alpine Brumbies give. Instead of that full flight response that a lot of your hotter blood type horses, so Arab type, thoroughbred type, who have that real strong flight response and just shoot off and ask questions later, or ask questions never, as it may be. Get into that high flight mode. The Brumbies tend to have more of a freeze response, so that little jump forward and then stop, that's about as much as their flight response is. So it's more of a freeze response, where you just do a little reaction if you need to at first, then stop and assess the situation. So it's a energy conserving thing, because in the wild, if you spook at every single thing and use too much energy, you get really skinny, and if there's not enough feed around, you might die. So conserving energy is really important for these Brumbies. So I found this with all the Brumbies that I've worked with. They do have that freeze response instead of that strong flight response. So just to conserve the energy, only react as much as you need to, or stop on the spot, have a look around, and then decide if you need to run away. That's a quality which I find really beneficial when training these horses, because they don't get into that high flight mode where they stop learning. They freeze, and they can generally then be helped through the situation. Sometimes they will shut down, so you'll have a full freeze response where the horse is not reacting in terms of jumping around and moving, but they've actually shut down, so they're standing still, not jumping around and reacting, but really not coping with the situation. So you do have to be aware of that, that the horse isn't shutting down, but again, you can generally work through that and build their confidence back up. The freeze response is really good when you're riding the horses down the road, or in an area where they haven't been. There's things they might spook at. They just do that little freeze, spook on the spot, have a look. It makes it a lot calmer and more relaxing for the rider and everyone involved, particularly when we start to sell them on to young kids to ride. If we know that the worst that their spooks are going to be really just on the spot little freeze, that's a really important thing for kids as well, so they know their horse isn't going to spook and take off on them. It's not going to do a big shy and spin that you see some horses do. If it is going to get worried about something, it'll just be on the spot. Stop. Oh, that's okay, it's just a rubbish bin. Or that's okay, it's just a letterbox. But hopefully we've desensitised them and got them used to all kinds of things like that already. So there shouldn't really be many things down the track that they're going to be worried about. But it's a horse, it's a living animal. They're always going to have a look at something. If it's new or moves suddenly that they weren't expecting and they're going along being a bit asleep or something. So we can forgive little things like that. But the more we expose them, the more reliable they become.